Welcome everybody to One Lap to Go. I am your host, Mike Bobbitt, or Mike Bobbitt. Joining me tonight the the awesome tattoo mistress. How you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Just ready to talk some racing. Also joining us is Miss Ronnie. How you tonight?
I'm doing well myself. Like you said, ready to talk some racing.
Yeah, yeah. If for those you don't know out there, they revealed the schedule for 2020, which is next year. If you didn't know, um, so I'm gonna go through the entire schedule. There's been a lot of changes, and yeah, this is gonna be a doozy. So, kicking off, we got the Clash, the Duels, and the 500. Normal.
Right.
Right after that is Vegas.
Wait, they're going straight to Vegas?
Yep.
Okay.
And after that is the Auto Club Speedway.
Where's that?
And then we got Phoenix, Atlanta. Here's the big one. After Atlanta, Homestead.
Well, that's not too bad because they're still right there. Anyway, it's not that big of a travel like going from Florida all the way to Vegas.
Yeah, but usually that race is the last.
Yeah. But at least they're not going seaboard to seaboard with that.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Ronnie, about Homestead being so early in the schedule next year?
Well, I know we had talked about that. I think it was the second episode that they were looking to do these changes. Daytona Tourism is very unhappy with this change. Newspaper articles down here are basically, I mean, that's their big 4th of July with the change that's being made with that, and with Homestead being so early. And I know you're going to mention it, but what's going to happen with the end of the season, that they're going to lose a lot of tourism the middle of the season here. And we knew that they were going to have to flip-flop and show, okay, well, if you're not going to have the races as scheduled from the previous years, where are you going to put Homestead? Where are you going to put the 400? And they've really put a hindering on the middle of the season. But it's another change that I guess they're trying to implement. And so far, the changes that they've made with rules and stuff like that, there's just been a lot of complaining and issues this year already. And I think this is going to put a lot more complaining too. But, I mean, they had to put it somewhere. I mean, it is a racetrack. For it being so early, I would think it would have been, they would try to keep it closer towards the end with the warmer weather and stuff. But I guess we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. See this change out here is what I don't agree with it. Homestead should always be the final race to me, and the fact they've got it like so early next year, it's like, I mean, why? I mean, what was wrong with that being the final race?
There was nothing wrong with it being the final race, but again, it's not that hard on the drivers then to go from Homestead to Daytona or Atlanta to Homestead, you know?
Can I ask the question before you get to it?
Yeah.
What's the last race?
Daytona.
I'm gonna get to that.
If it's Daytona, perfect. Daytona should finish it off. I get what everybody's saying, but where is racing? What is the big hub of racing? Isn't Daytona like the big shindig?
You got that. You
No,
got
it's Charlotte.
Talladega. There's a couple big tracks, but it's more like, okay, we're going to start the season Daytona, and we're going to end it now with Daytona.
Well, my question is, isn't Daytona like one of the most prestigious tracks?
Yes.
Isn't it like the most popular
Yeah.
track in racing? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's where it should end. Makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Well, NASCAR completely destroyed that logic. I'll get to it at the end of the schedule. All right. Then we got Texas, Bristol, Richmond, Talladega, Dover, and Martinsville.
That's just all over
Any
the
thoughts
place.
on those? Yeah.
You're going to find out how athletic these guys really are then.
It's just to deal with the jet lag.
Yeah, because you're going from Florida, Texas, then Bristol. Then I think, well, they always had Easter around Easter time, middle April or whatever. They've always had a break.
Yeah.
And they listed another race here for Charlotte called the NASCAR Open. I don't know what the hell that is.
No explanation for it whatsoever. It's just NASCAR Open.
No. Yeah.
Means it's still in the developmental stage.
Here's a kick in the face. You got the All-Star race, the Coke 600, and then Kansas.
Oh.
Oh, here's even better. Michigan, and then Sonoma.
They're trying to kill these guys apparently.
Chicagoland.
Well, I just said it. You're all gonna find out how athletic these guys really are. That's
The hard way.
That's why they're doing it.
This can't be right. They've got Pocono listed one day from each other, both races.
Well, they got it. Mine's showing Saturday the 27th and Sunday the 28th.
Yeah. That makes zero sense.
What track was that again?
Pocono.
They're having 2 races there within like a week.
Back to back.
It's like the Whalen Modified Tour of Ed Raceway back in Long Island.
And you got Indy. Yeah, the July 4th weekend race is fucking Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, yeah.
And you got Kentucky, New Hampshire, Michigan, Watkins Glen. Finally, the big Daytona race, August 23rd. No, 29th. Because you got Dover for that. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, this sounds like a giant clusterfuck to me.
Yeah, because they're also even at end of July and first week of August, they're giving them like 2 weeks off. So they're actually not their last race is the 19th. They get 2 weeks off, and then they don't race again until August 9th when they go to Michigan.
That's not bad. I mean, that's more of a break than they've been getting in the past years.
Right. I mean, it's like 3 weekends off till that final race.
Yeah.
And now, here is your new fucking playoff races.
Okay.
Well, No, hang on. Hang on. These are the races before the chase. Sorry, I screwed up there. All right. You got Darlington, Richmond, Bristol. The cutoff race before the chase is Vegas.
The first race for it. Wow.
All right. The first race in the playoffs, Talladega.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
A super speedway. The very first one. I
Mm-hmm.
would have done a short track the very first one if they're going to change anything up.
And keep in mind, it's the fucking wild card of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. So Darlington, Richmond, Bristol, and Vegas are the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Damn. Nice to see Bristol actually being a playoff race for once.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of their oldest tracks on the circuit.
Yeah, that and Martinsville.
Yeah.
After Dega, you got the Roval, Kansas, Texas, and that's the end of the second round.
I'm surprised Texas is getting a race.
Yeah.
For the playoffs? Not really.
Hey, here's the one that we're going to be talking about. The final two races.
Yep.
Right.
Martinsville, and the season finale is going to be fucking Phoenix.
Phoenix.
Yep. They
Yeah.
changed it because the last I saw that the way they were doing it, they were going to have an East Coast and then do the West Coast, and I thought it was going to be flip flopped. And what they ended up doing is they did the East Coast first of November, and then they're doing the West Coast final race November 8th.
See, that makes no sense to me.
I mean, they've got these guys racing East Coast, going out to West Coast, and not staying out there for multiple races. They've got them bouncing back and forth between the East Coast and West Coast on a lot of these dates, but they are getting the 3 weeks off and the season's ending earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have like a longer break till the 500 for 2021. I mean, it's giving them maybe what, 2.5 extra weeks from when they end it.
2.5 extra weeks they could use. Honestly,
Yeah.
with a schedule like that, they're going to need that 2.5 extra weeks.
And I know, I mean, a lot of the drivers too, with the way the schedule's going to be, some of them do like the marathon things with charities, and they do events and stuff like that with sponsors. And a lot of that they're saying too is having to be adjusted from all these changes that are going to be implemented.
Right.
So it's not only them being affected with the travel, but
it's
the
their
sponsors
sponsorships also.
They're having to adjust their schedules, which the schedule's been in place for so many years. And it's like now trying to change this out. But
I understand trying to give them a shorter season so that they have longer to recover. However, I don't see why they have to change the circuit around so much.
I don't understand why your championship race is Phoenix.
Right.
Well, the other thing too we were talking about too is where they have the award ceremony and stuff like that, with it being out in Vegas, and they were looking to change that, and that's why I thought it was going to be reversed, because they were saying possibly Tennessee, which would keep these guys on the East Coast, but if they're going to keep it out there in Vegas at the Wynn, then they're going to go from Phoenix, and then a week later is the Vegas Awards, if that's what they're looking to do. with keeping it out there,
Right.
and they're not traveling back and then back out again. I mean, that's the only thing logical that I could come up with why they would put everything out there on the West Coast towards the end.
It's the only thing that makes
I
sense.
thought it was official that the banquet was in Nashville.
Well, that's what they were looking to change that, and I don't know if that actually has been, which is why I thought they would have Martinsville for that last race, because it would keep everybody on the East Coast. But with them flipping that last race out to Phoenix again, I'm wondering if that didn't go through and they're going to keep it at the Wynn in Vegas.
According to ESPN, it is going to be in Nashville.
So then that doesn't make sense then.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I mean,
make
for
any
them to
sense.
change where the award ceremony is, period, doesn't really make sense, considering everybody's out on the East Coast in like Charlotte and Nashville and all that.
Well, they could have just kept it at Homestead. I mean, they would.
Yeah.
I mean, they should have just kept everything. If that was the only thing they were looking to change, then they should have just kept it at Homestead and kept everybody out here for the convenience. Because, like you said, with Charlotte, with people and where they live, that would made perfect sense. I mean, with a lot of the drivers living in Charlotte and in the surrounding East Coast areas.
This is why racing is a joke.
But yeah, that makes no sense now.
You know what this means, don't you?
No, what does it mean, Bobby?
Your fucking champion is going to be Kevin Harvick every year that now.
I don't mind that.
Well, Jimmy has to get his 8th first. Then he can retire, and then we can have Harvick.
Ronnie's just looking to get smacked.
Yeah, he doesn't do too well in playoffs anymore.
None of them do, and that's because of the change of the car.
But I have heard that they're wanting to rotate the final race every year.
But if you're rotating that at the end of the year, you're going to have to rotate the middle of the year too, because you're going to be taking, if you're going to have it in Talladega one year, then where's that Talladega race? Who's going to replace that one?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're going to rotate their finishing race every year, they're going to have to change the schedule like they just did now.
Right.
Every year.
See, having it, and I know people don't like change and stuff like that, but when you've had it in place for so long and it's worked, what all of a sudden has changed it to say, okay, well, we're not going to have it? And with here in Daytona, because of it being 4th of July weekend, the schools here start back like the first part of August, right, because they get out so early, because they don't have them going to school during the summer down here.
Right.
And now with that being in August, at the end, these kids are back in school. You've got parents that aren't going to be traveling, because you've got East Coast schools that start around Labor Day weekend or the weekend before, and that's that weekend.
Right.
So it's like, by doing that, it was always the 4th of July, it was the beach, it was people were coming in for the race, and then they would go to Orlando and spend at Disney, Universal, and that's where the Daytona tourism is just up in an uproar with where that's been placed.
Right.
And of course, it was a night race too. So are they now going to say, okay, we're going to have night race, or we're going to have day race, or we're going to flip-flop them too? I mean, I know certain tracks you can't do that, but if you're going to make changes like that, are you going to have, okay, well, this year we'll do a day race, but then the next time we're in that area, we'll do the night race? It's just unnecessary changes, in my opinion.
I agree with you. I mean, there's no reason behind doing all these changes anything other than, okay, we want to change up the tourism. And we want to change up how we earn our money. Say hi, Wendy.
And especially when it's notoriety tracks
Right.
that pull in that money. And I mean, even with Charlotte and stuff like that, the one gentleman that is involved with that track, I mean, that to me, they could have done that as the final race because of everybody being in that area.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, sending them out to Phoenix and then bringing them back for the awards here in Nashville, that just does not make any sense.
It's a lot of travel time that the drivers don't need.
Yep. Well, it's the drivers, and then you got the ones pulling the haulers, and you've got the crew, and it's just the bouncing back and forth. It seems that they're going to be taking more time away from the families and stuff like that with the travel itself, because you figure if you're on the East Coast, the next race is on the West Coast, boom. I mean, you've got to leave like that next day or a day later. And then, of course, you've got all the promotional stuff for that week.
Yeah.
And I mean, it could. I mean, you may see it taking a toll on the drivers and how it affects their inability to win or to even, I mean, sickness and replacement drivers if you have to put a replacement one in, or who knows what else could happen.
Exactly. Do you have anything else to add to this, Bobbit?
Well, I hope they know what the fuck they're doing, because this is sounding like a giant clusterfuck.
I mean, it was actually quoted, it was a tremendous collaborative effort. Well, I guess so. I mean, for how long the season is and all these changes with the tracks and stuff like that, I can imagine. I mean, and if you're planning to do this every year, that's just, to me, unnecessary work for the tracks and all the people involved.
My only question is, how drunk was Brian France when he proposed this?
Oh, probably extremely drunk.
I like it.
Well, of course you would.
Might get me back into racing. I'm always, I'm always bitching about how the fucking racers, they have them fucking go from Charlotte to Bristol, which isn't that far of a drive or a go. Now, if they go from Charlotte to fucking California, from California back over to Bristol, and then from Bristol or whatever, that just goes to prove that they're just as athletic as everybody else. It's you got to remember, and I don't know a lot about racing, but is racing not part mental? You have to overcome the mental ability.
Yes, but now you also have to think of how the cars are getting there. Those long haul drivers.
That's on NASCAR. That shouldn't be on the drivers. That's on NASCAR. If they want to do it and they think they can afford it, this is why racing is probably going to die here soon because of that. Because they're going to run out of fucking money.
Easy, Wendy. And to answer your question there, Ryan, yes, it is experiencing a downward trend, but that's more because of drivers without personality, as the article that Tony Stewart was interviewed for that Ronnie had found that we spoke about last week. Which, Ronnie, if you want, what's your input on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree totally with what he said. Even with what you guys had mentioned too, because it's a sport, yes, physically, mentally, and it's similar to certain big companies where, like you said, it's deep pockets, family input. It's kind of like nepotism, that if you know somebody, if your family has the money, these kids, and they're kids. And to me, they should be like down in the Xfinity for as long as they can stay down there and get what they need in order to be brought up, instead of, okay, a year or two and then boom, bring them up because
Daddy
we
says so.
think that, yeah, they can handle the Monster Energy circuit, and that brings in new for the Xfinity. But you've got these young drivers, and you see it on the Hendricks team because you've got Jimmy and the rest of them are these young kids,
Almost done. So.
and you're seeing it more with bringing these younger kids up, that yeah, their mentality and their racing skills are there because of they grew up in it, they understand the business, but they don't have that entertainment factor too, or that interview personality of striving to win and striving to entertain within their team. I mean, you've got these older drivers that, and I believe you said it on the show, when there was delays and stuff like that, there were certain drivers that they went to do interviews. And you have the younger kids that they're playing video games.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's their mentality, that okay, we got downtime, we're gonna do this, and it's not, they're not engaging within the sport for that day, because they rather be in the trailer or the hauler or with a group of people their age playing video games or doing basically teenager kid things.
Bobby?
Hmm?
Anything else you want to bring up here?
Oh, sorry. I had a total brain fart.
That's okay. It's your show, dude.
Ronnie brought up something in the chatter here today. You mind sharing that, Ronnie?
Sure. With the changes that everybody's been complaining about with this qualifying and everything that NASCAR is trying to do, especially last week with the debacle that happened there with setting times and final shoots. Clint Bowyer ended up in a situation this weekend where this was the first weekend where they were staging lines in pit row to leave to do your qualifying. And the ruling's supposed to be that you're supposed to leave the center open, and once you proceed into that, then that's when you proceed down pit row, and no stopping, no getting back into lines. And apparently that's what was happening, and it caused an issue, of course, with Clint Bowyer trying to get onto the track, and NASCAR apparently hasn't done anything about it. And he got on an interview with the young girl, Jamie Little. Well, not young, but one of the interviewers, and just tore NASCAR a new one, saying if you're going to implement these rules, then you need to follow them.
You need to enforce them, otherwise you're just going to make your own rules look like shit, and it's going to look like you're playing favoritism for certain drivers.
Right.
And
These are 100%
ultimately,
right.
that's what I think it is.
And the sad thing is, for Clint Bowyer, it just seems everything happens to him.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a change or anytime something new is implemented, he is always somewhere a part of it or the center of attention with it, that it doesn't work out to his favor. And he's another one like Tony Stewart. I mean, he just goes off, and he just lets NASCAR know how he feels. And I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, after listening to it and watching it, seeing what happened, it did. I mean, it hindered him with his qualifying, and it didn't affect the person that caused the issue.
Right.
So, I mean, I kind of see where his frustration is. And yeah, I mean, if you're, like we said, if you're going to implement the rule, then you need to implement any punishment for someone that's not following the rule.
Exactly.
There's no sense of putting it in place if you're not going to do anything about it.
Exactly.
And here's the thing I don't get is anybody remember the incident that happened at Richmond with Michael Waltrip Racing a few years ago?
Vaguely. Refresh our memory there, Bobbit.
They was trying to get one of their drivers in the chase, and Clint Bowyer spun out, uh, screwed Jeff out of the chase, and I think it was for Truex or somebody like that.
Right.
That whole big issue.
Right.
I think ever since that happened, if you notice, only bad shit happens to Clint Bowyer and Martin Truex Jr.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like NASCAR really wants those two out of the sport.
Well, it may not be NASCAR. It may be other teams that are trying to make them look bad to get them out of the sport.
Right, because look at Martin Truex. He lost one of the best rides he ever had because the team folded.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. It's just weird how things only happen to them too.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, it just seems like anytime there's something implemented, Boyer is somehow a part of it or he's affected by it. It's just really weird.
And it's every single time.
It's like, he didn't even fart without something weird happening. So, I saw you put some qualifying results in the. I saw you put some qualifying results in the writers' room there, Ronnie. You mind reading those out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no problem reading that one.
Of course not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, it might be a good weekend for Hendrick and the teammates for them because we've got Jimmy Johnson starting off first with William Byron right behind him and Chase Elliott third. So we got the three Hendricks guys up there in the top with Daniel Suarez as the fourth and Austin Dillon top five.
Right.
So, and Texas is Jimmy's track. He's been known to win quite a bit there.
Yep.
So, hopefully it'll be a good weekend with him.
You good now, baby?
No, you're hoping that it's a good weekend.
Yeah.
Well, even with the top three, I mean that's a nice little top three for at least a Hendrick win. Or, I mean, Jimmy's fallen behind here the last couple weeks, where he started out towards the back and then he's made it midway, got up to the top, and then he just falls back into that middle slump. He's 10 or between 10 and 20 at times. And he's back in that slump like last year where he can't get out or get into that top 10. And now with him being at the top, with maybe the help of these other two, so that might give them that team a win. And then the other thing I saw too, right before we came on, because of the race today and last night, you got Kyle Busch winning both of them. And
hell yeah.
He won the truck, and today he won the Xfinity.
That's one thing I don't understand. That's one thing I don't understand. Why did they allow these the Sprint Cup drivers to drive in the Xfinity Cup? Why? Why did they allow that? Isn't that the minor leagues of the racing?
Well, guess they look at it as yes, that is the the startups, but between him and Harvick and Keselowski, Logano, or Earnhardt even did it. Junior at times would race in those Xfinity races. Now, whether it was, I don't know if it was with the cars that they had and they didn't have drivers to fulfill. But I mean, I know Earnhardt's got several family members that are in that Xfinity series. And like I said, with that group, there was always certain ones that would pull double duty. But with the trucks, I really don't follow the trucks that much. But to do all three, which Kyle Busch seems to be the one that does mainly the three. He's in the truck, the Xfinity, and that. I mean, that gives him an advantage because he's out there and he's running the track, so he's got a feel for him come Sunday.
That's what I was just gonna say. It should be viewed as cheating because they're getting a forward look at the track.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And I know you guys mentioned last week too with his wins. And that, how can you compare it when he's doing all three of these and he's getting that exposure and he's getting that experience out there for practice? He's got the practice, he's got the qualifying, he's got the race, he's got the Saturday race, and then he's got the Sunday race. So, I mean, he's got that all under his belt.
Now, see, that's my question here, Bob. Is his wins all three divisions, or is it just the one?
All three divisions.
So, yeah, he's nowhere near Richard Petty then. He can go suck a dick. Richard Petty did all in one division, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because even the article says through the 14 races with the NASCAR Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series to date, he has won 9 times already. And he's at a 64.3% already over the other drivers. And he's top in points right now of the leaderboard.
Yeah, he's ruined racing, in my opinion. But whatever. I digress.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about tonight, Bobbit?
We can get to our predictions for tomorrow's race. What is it, Bristol tomorrow or Texas?
Texas.
I was going to say, I think it's Texas.
Oh.
Cool story. When I flew into Dallas, I seen that racetrack.
Which, by the way, folks, the background here for One Lap to Go is the Texas Speedway.
Nice.
I almost took a picture of it before you, Bob, but I didn't pull my phone out fast enough.
That's okay, man.
Oh.
So, what's everybody's pick to win it?
I'm going to stick with my guns here. I'm going to stay with Harvick.
Okay. Ronnie, what do you think?
Sticking with Jimmy.
Because she has not burped yet. What was your pick there, Ronnie?
Jimmy.
Oh, of course it was Jimmy.
Can't you? You're worse than fucking Sarah Small.
Now, I stick with Jimmy with him being up here at the top and at Texas. This one I definitely have a good feeling with. As long as he doesn't crash, I think he's going to pull out a top 10 or a win on this one. And then with the way Bowyer's week's gone and the animosity he has with NASCAR, I think he's going to be my dark horse, and he's just going to pull it all out on the track, and he's just going after that checkered flag with everything that happened qualifying.
My dark horse is going to be William Byron, actually.
Heather?
I'm sorry?
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be William Byron.
Okay. My pick is going to be Kyle Busch. Yeah, and my dark horse, I'm gonna go with Heather on this one, William Byron.
I wouldn't be surprised with Bush because, like I said, he's got two under his belt already this weekend.
I'm gonna get out the broom. I'm gonna start sweeping.
Well, and the thing with that too is, even with Keselowski, Keselowski's already got two wins under his belt, and he's another one that does both of those races at times. And the one he did win, he was sick with, and then last weekend winning at Martinsville. So, already with this season, you've got two racers already with two wins under their belt, which is shrinking the while getting into the chase races with wins. Because if you've got these guys already with this momentum, two wins under their belt already.
Yeah.
Well, I think that'll be it for tonight. Thank you everybody for coming out, watching us tonight. I'd like to thank Heather and Miss Ronnie for co-hosting with me tonight, as always. And we will see you guys next week. Have a good night, everybody.